on a Monday, April the 10th, 1989. Just a little lucky dentistry hour in the first one there, but we'll see what happens as the show progresses, if it does indeed progress. A number of things to take care of before we go back to the premise of this program, which, of course, is your guess is as good as mine. Renaissance Fair coming up on Saturday between noon and 3. I understand I shall be wearing probably the same cute little blue velvet costume that I wore last year, which is, of course, the short blue velvet pants, the little blue velvet vest over the white flowing shirt, and the tights. Also on Thursday, April the 13th at Howard's between 3 and 6 p.m., we will be there broadcasting live for the Tampa Bay Yahtzee Playing Foxes Association. All the Yahtzee Playing Foxes in the Tampa Bay area gather at Howard's in the NCNB building in downtown Tampa. That's between noon and 3. I will not, by the way, be wearing my tights for that. You'll just have to come out and see what I wear. Probably just jeans and a shirt would be my guess. I mean, what the hell. I'm not really in the mood for chasing down foxes, so it's not that important for me. And we do have the names of the 3 people who sometime during the next several weeks will have the distinct, whatever it may be, of actually having this program done live from their living rooms. I can't begin to imagine why people would want to do this. I was stunned at the number of people who applied. It was actually something in the neighborhood of 60, 70 entries. The one I liked the best is unfortunately not one of the finalists, because the only way we could do this was to make it a drawing situation. The one I liked the best was the guy that went to the trouble of taking a picture of the cookies and the milk in the refrigerator with a thermometer next to it set at 43 degrees. Now, that one was really neat, and I really got off on that. There was another one that I enjoyed very, very much that begged and pleaded and sent the pictures and the whole thing, but unfortunately forgot to give us an address or a phone number. So we had no idea, how we could possibly get in touch with these people. Just a name, Joe Blow. Well, Joe Blow, tough luck. Better luck next time. Remember, your name and address and phone number would be very helpful. However, the three people who were drawn at random, I must admit that's the only way it was possible, because I did not expect the number of clever entries. And there were quite a number of clever entries, extremely clever. However, Slade Steele of Clearwater, Florida, there is, of course, why did I do that? That's such a dumb thing to say. I sit home and listen to jerks say things like, in the local news, I'm from Largo, Florida. I know you're from Florida, so forgive me for that. Slade Steele from Clearwater. There is no particular rhyme or reason to the order of these whatsoever. Janice Rawdon from Tampa. That's Tampa, Missouri. And, of course, last but certainly not least, Frank, and I'm sure I'm going to destroy this name, Frank Marchesny, I think, from Tampa. Frank Marchesny, or something rather close to that. Marchesny, possibly, but they are the 3. That's Frank Marchesny, Janice Rawdon, and Slade Steele. You shall be contacted, all 3 of you, very soon from someone in the programming department who will no doubt try to talk you out of it. And if they can't do that, try to shake you down for a lot of money so that possibly we can come out and do our show from your living rooms. Thank you to all of the other people who were so kind as to apply for this. Nonetheless, back to the telephones we will go. Remember, we are looking for 2 problems that you see. These are major problems, earth-shaking kinds of problems. One that you believe there is a solution to, the other that you're ready to concede there is no solution to. Clearwater, I guess that's Clearwater, Florida. Hi, Clearwater, Florida. You're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Yeah, I can't believe I waited this long, but I did. Bob, the problem of litter, I think, can be solved. And the reason I think it can be solved is because it's got to, like anything else, start in the home. I'll repeat a little thing that happened to me a couple of years ago. My wife and I are in a tour bus over in Switzerland, and we've been on a couple of days, and finally the tour guide, a very, very nice young lady, said very matter-of-factly, in fact, as more of a slap in the face to all of us, we were all Americans, she said, I hope you've noticed in the last 2 days you don't see any litter in the countryside, you don't see anything on the streets. And she said, that's because we start this at home. We teach our kids right off the bat that they don't throw anything on the streets anytime, anywhere. And it was kind of a eye-opening thing. I think one of the ways, other than starting at home, is that I think the police and everybody else, when they see people litter, have got to live up to the law and start throwing out these $100 fines. I mean, there's nothing worse than to be driving behind a car or something and see a guy throw a bottle out or...
Well, I agree with you, but there's also one thing, by the way, that you're forgetting with Switzerland, and that is that virtually every Swiss citizen owns a piece of the rock.
Maybe so, but we all own Clearwater, Largo, and things like...
I beg your pardon. What I'm referring to is that almost every Swiss citizen is a homeowner. It's very common in Switzerland. The percentage of home ownership is well into the 90s, last I heard.
Oh, well, nevertheless, whether you're renting or, I mean, you don't like to live in a pig pen.
Well, sir, I'm a renter, too, and I don't like to live in a pig pen either, but we have an awful lot of people in this country, rightly or wrongly, and I'm not trying to defend them. I was simply pointing out one of the things that separates us from the Swiss. It's very fine and well to say that they teach their children from day one at home, and I'm sure they do. I would hope that they would do that. But that's also another factor to take into consideration, is that they're almost all homeowners.
Well, yeah, you're probably right. That has something to do with it. But I think that, really, I think that everybody, it's one of those things that everybody can pitch in, and I think it can be solved. But I think it is a major problem, not only here, but everywhere. Oh,
it blows me away every morning I go out to my front lawn and find a wrapper from here or a can from there. I don't quite understand.
Yeah. Well, that's my 2 points on the one we can solve. The one I don't think we can solve, and I'm really sorry to say this, is the cocaine and the drug problem.
Why not?
The reason I don't think we can is because I think that when the authorities make the drug bust and recover the money and recover cars and things like that, that the municipalities where this is happening are just making so much money that I really believe down deep they don't want to solve the problem. I mean, Broward County...
Come on
I'm serious.
Now. Why would you say something like that? Just simply because the problem hasn't been solved?
No, because I don't think it'll ever be solved.
Well, why won't it be solved?
Because I don't think the police really want to solve it.
Did it ever dawn on you that it's not a solvable problem? How can the police make people stop taking dope?
Oh, that's why I'm agreeing with it. But I'm saying even the bringing the coke and the dope or whatever.
What you're doing is you're accusing the police of prolonging this.
No.
I think that's... Well, then I stand corrected with that.
I'm not saying... no, wait a minute. That's putting too many people in the same pot. I'm just saying that it has been, and Beck, it's been in the papers and everything, that like when they take somebody's car from them, that's just another car for the police department to have. I think they like this. And I think that it's a type of thing that there's just too much money involved all the way up to the top that I just don't think that the influx of cocaine...
You really think the police like getting shot at?
Oh, no.
Well, either do I, sir, so I don't really think that, they're kind of looking the other way so they can continue to confiscate cars and get shot at. But nonetheless, I appreciate the input. I thank you very much. 20 minutes after the hour, 4 o'clock. Must say, Gar, really surprised to hear you on a Monday. I would have thought that, you would have been all partied out or something like that from the weekend. How's it going, Gar? Ah, yes, ladies and gentlemen, the sounds of Gary McHenry dozing off in the background. We all recognize that.
With a
970 WFLA Airborne Traffic Report.
Hi, Bob. How was your weekend, buddy?
Oh, Gary, busy. I mean, Mary and I were invited out Friday night. We're invited out Saturday night. We're out partying Sunday night. And Sunday afternoon, of course, we were invited out to a picnic. And, it was just busy. How about your weekend, Gar?
I washed down my carport, Bob. We'll talk about all the excitement a little later. 92 and Macintosh, checked on that. Some good...
Pulled me away in the last 4.5, 5 months and said, wow, does it really work? Now, I think that if you have reached a point in your life where you're so sick and tired of smoking cigarettes that you would go up to a total stranger and say, geez, does it really work? And then stand there and talk to him for 10, 15, 20 minutes about quitting smoking, then you're probably ready. See, if you're looking for some kind of really quick, easy fix where you don't have to do anything and you just walk in one day and say, hey, I would have quit smoking and walk out, well, I'm sorry, but this or any other program is not going to do the trick for you. But if you have reached a point in your life where you're fed up, but you just don't know quite how to go about it, you're concerned with maybe things like, well, geez, what am I going to do after I finish eating, or what am I going to do when I first wake up in the morning, or what am I going to do after, what? Or what am I going to do during any of those classic smoke a cigarette times, then you're ready. You're ready because, you see, Dr. Robert Sobel is the man that I'm going to recommend to you. he put together the program that's called Quit for Life. It addresses all of those questions that you have. It's going to help you find the reason that you smoke, help you find the thing that's going to keep you from smoking. The program is called Quit for Life. 2 one-hour sessions, 1 week apart, a total cost of $37.50. The phone number is 787-5530. Now, Dr. Sobel's offices are located in Clearwater, and to be perfectly frank with you, that's the best place for you to go. There are afternoon and evening sessions available to you, but if you can't make it to Clearwater, there is a book and a tape, and even more importantly than that, maybe you can get together a group of people, 5, 10, 15, 20, a whole office, a whole shop, whatever it might be, a whole store. And for a flat fee, Dr. Sobel will come out and conduct the courses right where you are. Quit for Life, 787-5530, 787-5530, please. Back to the phones we go. Kenneth City. Hi, Kenneth. You're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Is that me?
Yep.
Well, my home in Kansas City is the fluorocarbon capital of Kansas City. My wife gets up in the morning, goes in the bathroom to do her business and make her hair. She sprays that junk all over her hair. Then when I get up to go in, the countertop of that vanity is like flypaper. I can't believe it. She harped at me constantly over years to quit smoking. I quit smoking for her. But do you think she'd give up that fluorocarbon hairspray for me? No. It's driving me up the wall.
I understand being driven up the wall, sir. Clearwater, you're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Bob.
Yeah.
This is Mulberry wine. It's mulberry wine. Hello?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what do you think you should do to that captain that spilled all that goddamn oil up in Alaska?
If it would be humanly possible, sir, to lock him into a small room with you for the rest of his life, I'd be in favor of it. Tampa, you're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Okay, Bob. I'm calling about the depletion of the rainforest in South America. I think that's one of the most pressing and really immediate issues that's facing not just the people in South America, but the people in North America and all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's a concern that, the scientists say that actually that forest area down there is the climate control center of the world. And they're wantonly destructing the forest down there at a tremendous rate. I'm sure you're familiar with it.
Well, you say it's the climate control area of the world, but does that mean that it has to be, or that it's always meant to be, because the world has always changed?
That's true, but I think that this change is coming about not in a natural evolutionary way. It's happening so rapidly.
Well, I'm not sure about that. You say that's not in a natural evolutionary way. Well, it's man part of nature, and man's positive.
That's true, but...
Do you really have a right to tell other people how to live because it's going to inconvenience you?
Well, no, but I think that it's going to inconvenience them and everybody else in the long run. It's part of the problem. Now, the depletion of the ozone layer down over Antarctica is possibly part of that is from the CFC buildup. But they're also saying that because of the depletion of the rainforest, it's also helping that thing spread. And, their scientists are still real uncertain about what's going to happen with that down there. I don't know whether that's as an immediate problem as the problem with people.
Do you have a solution to it?
Well, that's what I'm going to suggest. I don't know.
Well, then in that case, may I suggest to you that I've got to put you on hold for a few minutes because I've got to run for the news. Can I do that?
Go for it.
Okay, on the hold, line one goes. Don Richards standing by at the WFLA News Desk. Donald? About to solve a major problem of the world.
I'll see what I can do here. From what I understand, the reason they clear out these forests down there is one of the main reasons is a need for arable land for farming, because they're constantly, when they clear it off, they can farm for one season because the soil is so nutrient poor. They can produce crops for a season, but then they die out and they can't grow anything there again. I don't know if this is a solution, but I think if our government would take a little bit more of an interest in what's happening.
We're really talking about white middle-class kids in school. What we're talking about are big black guys doing dope who live not too far away from us that we're scared, whatless over.
Okay. Now,
these are the ones that are coming breaking in the house, man.
We're looking at a long-term cure, and it has to start with the kids, or the younger generation.
Well, I would appreciate that again, but I would suggest to you that when we really are talking about the drug problem. We're talking about those black and sometimes even white and sometimes a little bit tan in between people who are breaking into our houses. This is what we're really talking about.
I'm more upset on the aspect of what it's doing to our youth. I mean, my personal opinion is if drugs were coming from, say, the Soviet Union, we would have been at war with them years ago. But yet, since it's coming from South America, we're not. So it's kind of like, you know, people's attitudes are a little backwards in some cases. Do you have the same opinion?
Can I put you on hold?
Yes.
Because I'd like to pursue this. It's a very common thing that people say, and I'd really like to get down and dirty with it. So let me put you on hold. Go to Don Richards standing by at the WFLA news desk and come back.
About 9 potential.
You know, I assume we're talking about, we'll just single out one country here, Colombia. You know, you had said if the Soviet Union was waging war with us, we'd go to war against them, you know, but then Colombia's waging war with us. Well, the problem with that is if the Soviet Union went out and hired a guy in Kansas City named Harry, and he went to St. Louis and hired somebody named Mike, and he went to Chicago and hired somebody named Pete, and he went to New York and hired somebody named Pat, and, you know, let's run through 5 or 6 more cities and 5 or 6 more names to come and shoot at us, all Americans, then we wouldn't really have a hell of a lot of a bitch with the Soviet Union. See, if I went out to buy cocaine this afternoon, chances are pretty damn good I would not buy it from a guy named Jose, who comes from Colombia. I would buy it from a guy probably named Pete Johnson, who lives in, I don't know, College Park. And he probably bought it from somebody named Mike Thompson, who lives in South St. Petersburg.
And on and on and on.
Exactly.
Right.
You see, we're not at war with Colombia, we're at war with ourselves.
Exactly. That's why looking at the people that are actually dealing in it is short-term thinking, because there's just so much money involved that no matter how many of these people you arrest, even if you do put them away for life, there's going to be others that take their place. When you look at the millions of dollars people can make, and they think it's easy money.
It is easy money.
Yeah. So the only cure we can possibly do is going back to education. We have to stop people from using it. That's our really only solution.
The only one. The absolute only one. And the only way that that's really going to happen is people will teach themselves as they finally, at some point, look around and see how many of their friends and neighbors and relatives are dead or might as well be dead. And again, how long does that take? I don't know.
And then you have to look at the social environment some of these people are living in. You know, the poorest neighborhoods are the ones that have the most drugs and the most drug users.
Well, no, it's the other way. Well, yeah, you're half right. It's the poorest and the wealthiest. Those who have, in other words, the most time on their hands.
Right.
Money has little to do with it. It's time.
So we have to educate them to get them out of that environment into a more producing environment, you have to say, or at least give them better self-concept.
My God, Lyndon Johnson, is that you on the other end of the phone here?
I know, they're pipe dreams sometimes, but it has to start somewhere, and it's got to start with the youth. You know, one generation brought it to bloom.
Well, it also has to start with the people in the community where the drug abuse is the most prevalent. I do not understand wanting to sell poison to my neighbor.
Agreed.
I do not understand wanting to kill my neighbor or my friend or my family member. I don't understand that.
So you go across town where you don't know the people and you make $5 million and you're happy. That's what these people are doing.
Well, in some instances, but in some instances not. They're selling to each other. They're killing each other.
And that's stupid.
What are you going to do?
Again, the only thing we can do is start with the young and move up.
Awful lot of time in between of our houses getting broken into and.
Oh, they're still going to be doing, well, hopefully they're still going to be working on arresting these people, so forth and so on, handling as best they can. But, last year they seized anywhere from $20 to $50 billion worth of cocaine, and that didn't even drop in the bucket. So the money pouring in is unbelievable.
Well, of course, then there's the opportunity cost here. How many doctors, how many scientists, how many accountants, how many talk show hosts, how many good automobile mechanics, how many good stenographers have been lost in all of this, never again to be regained?
Exactly.
Oh, that's scary. That's
lose
even
their
more
wife,
scary
lose their family, lose their job, lose their children.
It's even more scary than how many houses and cars are going to be burglarized.
Exactly.
What we have lost over this.
Exactly. Oh, and about the Soviet Union, I'm happy with what we've been doing with them lately, the way we're working together more. So I'm not against them.
That seems to me to be the only way, is to work with them.
Yep, and it looks like we're making some good progress, so hopefully in the future we'll still have one.
Of course, the problem is, you see, we need an enemy, so if it's not going to be the Soviet Union, who's the new enemy?
Well, one day hopefully we'll look at ourselves.
But my friend, we are already locked into $300 billion a year, and that's today's dollars, in tanks and bombs and planes, and you can't sell those to people if you don't have an enemy for them. You know, so I agree with you. I too applaud the way we're dealing with the Soviet Union, but that means we need a new enemy. Who the hell's it going to be?
Yeah. Out of curiosity, since you're good at figures, do you know how much we spent last year on trying to solve the drug problem?
I think it's something in the neighborhood of $6 or $7 billion
And $300 billion. $300 billion for an unknown enemy.
Isn't that amazing? Well, you see, you don't need lasers and atomic bombs to fight drugs.
No.
Take care.
All right, thank you very much, Bob.
Thank you.
This is my first call, and I'm glad I did.
I'm glad you did, too. Don't venture very far. One more hour yet to go.
That we're getting fat on.
But, sir, where is this food to come from?
From all these, from us, for starters. And
what, sir? Animal feed?
No.
What?
From the factories that just throw away stuff on a constant daily basis.
Who's going to pay for it?
Who's paying for it? We're paying for it. Those companies take that as a tax write-off.
Sir, I'm going to go back for the last time and give you some of the mathematics here. If we made double the amount of food that we consume in this country every day, it would only be enough food for 500 million people. Where are the other billions of people to be fed from, sir, that you say we can feed?
I'm not saying we're the only ones that should do it.
In other words, sir, you haven't thought a damn thing about it, have you?
Yes, I have.
Well, sir, it's not there. It simply is not there, sir. The food is not there. The arable land is not there, sir.
The world is dumping tons of garbage.
No, it is not,
not
sir.
Garbage, but perfectly good food every day.
It is not, sir.
What do you mean it's not?
Just what I said. There are 5 billion people in the world, sir. 4 billion of them might be considered to be hungry.
Yeah. So, we're throwing away all kinds of stuff every day.
Get off my phone, you moron. Good grief, man. I love a conversation, but give it a little bit of thought. You know, your wishful thinking is not an opinion, sir. You know, just because you want things to be as you would like them to be to make your point doesn't make them that way. I mean, I appreciate the fact that you called, and I appreciate the fact that you sat there for 38 minutes. But this is not a fantasy hour. I mean, what I'm trying to accomplish here is to get people to think about the problems that we all face and get people to think about whether or not there is a solution, and if there isn't a solution, then to start to accept the fact that there is no solution, and to avoid the jerks that tell you that they can solve the problems. And I'm sorry if my temper is a little bit short. I just do not need, for purposes of my show or for the purposes of my own personal private life, to talk to someone who hasn't thought about what he's saying. Like, I don't know, certain traffic reporters. None of them, of course, are employed by this radio station. So let's go to Gary.
You got out of that one, Bob.
Sounded to me, Gary, like you were doing your vowels. I-O-U. Gary McHenry with an airborne traffic report.
Yahtzee. Any billboards or anything here, Bob?
Any billboards?
Any sponsors here? Don't want you to forget.
No, doesn't look that way to me, Gary.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Hey, Gary, how about if I do a Grand Prix car wash commercial?
You already did, Bob.
Would you like to hear one?
You already did.
Oh.
Don't worry, you'll get them in.
This traffic report is not brought to you by the Grand Prix Car Wash, with locations in...
Traffic along Starkey Road is a mess.
Beach High, St. Pete Beach.
Hey, this is Jack, St. Pete Beach. I think, are we online?
Yeah, but not much longer if you don't, kind of pick it up there a little bit.
I think, one problem that's very near and dear to my heart is, I think that emergency services workers should be able to get paid more than they do for the risks that they take in protecting.
I just hung up on him in the middle of his conversation because, as I clearly pointed out, what I brought up was, major type problems, and his job category that doesn't pay him as much as he feels as though it should pay him may be very major for him, but for the rest of it is of little or no consequence whatsoever. 990-9352 in Hillsborough, 461-9352 in Pinellas. We don't really wish to be rude, but if we don't do things like that from time to time, then we get a board full of morons. Tampa, you're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Hello, Bob.
Hi.
Hi there. I think one of the major problems in this country is obviously drugs at the moment, and I think that one can be solved.
How?
And it's definitely not education, because how can
it
you?
Be solved?
Well, let me tell you first of all, it's not education because one, how do you educate lawyers and doctors?
Excuse me, sir. I'm the one that knows how much time I've got to deal with, so I will conduct the show. How do you solve the problem?
You make it legal.
Oh, then that solves the drug problem, sir.
Oh, yes, because one, let me explain the advantages. Okay? One, the government can collect taxes. You save the billions on law.
How much are you going to charge for a hit, sir?
We'll make it a lot cheaper.
How much, sir? Give me a price.
Well, I don't know what it costs now because I don't buy the stuff. But
well, it costs $10. So how much, sir?
Let's make it $5.
$5. That's going to solve the drug problem, right?
Yeah, well,
sir, here's why it won't solve the drug problem. You see, the guy who's stoned out on drugs, he doesn't have any money, sir. So it doesn't make any difference to him.
How does he get stoned out on drugs if he doesn't have any money? If he doesn't have any money.
Sir, I'm about to answer you. To get for his goods are what it costs for a fix. So in other words, if you steal a VCR and it costs $50 for a hit, then the guy's going to give you $50 down at the fencing store. If it costs 50 cents for a hit, he's going to give you 50 cents for the VCR. Sir, it doesn't solve your drug problem at all.
Okay, I wasn't phoning up to stop the crime. I was phoning to stop the drug problem. If you want to stop...
Sir, crime is the drug problem.
Okay, well, wouldn't you agree that if the law enforcement officers weren't out there chasing the drugs down, they wouldn't be killed? You wouldn't have innocent bystanders killed.
It just went right past you, didn't it? You see, the drug problem is the crime problem, sir.
Oh, so
you're still going to be out there stealing because they don't... Oh. Sir, people who are on drugs... The reason people who are on drugs...
Exactly.
Sir, if you don't shut your mouth, I'm going to hang up on you. I'm in the middle of a sentence. The reason people who have a drug problem go out and steal is not, sir, because they're accountants who only make enough money to pay part of the price for the drugs and steal the difference. It's, sir, because they don't have jobs. They steal it all.
Okay, so those guys are going to go and steal whether or not it's $5 a fix or $10 a fix. You agree?
That's right,
okay.
Sir.
What do you mean, do I agree?
Where
the hell did you come up with that idea? You just heard it from me.
Okay, I agree.
Insult me?
No, I just said that's okay. I apologize for that one. Hello?
Yes.
Okay. Wouldn't you think it'd be better for those people, if they're still going to steal, like you said, to at least let them steal and we don't get law enforcement officers killed, innocent bystanders killed in deals?
Sir, what in the hell kind of drugs are you on?
Pardon?
What kind of drugs are you on?
So you don't agree if it was legal? That prohibition, that was illegal. People were getting shot. They made it legal. Abortion was illegal. They made that illegal because they couldn't stop abortion. People were dying in the back streets. It doesn't mean it's right when you make something legal.
Sir, yep. Abortion and prohibition have nothing whatsoever to do with addictive drugs.
What's the difference between people who are addicted to alcohol? There's more people get killed through alcohol than drugs.
Sir, there aren't that many people addicted to alcohol.
Oh my God.
And sir, there are virtually no people going out and committing violent crimes to raise the money to buy drinks. Are there, sir?
No, because it's legal.
No, sir.
Because it's legal.
No, sir. It's because it's not the same kind of a drug.
You mean to tell me that there's more people die of alcoholism, there are more problems...
Sir, we're not talking about sclerosis of the liver. We're talking about people who commit crimes in order to keep their habit going.
Yeah.
Sir, I wish that there was some way possible I could put you together in the same room with a guy that called a couple of calls ago because you're both on the same wavelength. Don Richards standing by at the WFLA News booth.
970 WFLA News brought to you by Midway Airlines.
Almerton, because of an earlier accident that's now out of the way, but traffic's still backed up to Bryant-Derry.
Garrett, anybody can do what you do. So
Bob, anybody can hang up on people, too.
Anybody can hang up on people, too.
Fibber. Traffic on the Howard Franklin Bridge getting back to normal, and a slowdown earlier, but that has resumed its...
Less water problem?
No, less water.
Less water in total.
You know, it's not just foul water, it's the quantity of water is also a major problem.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm not sure what to do about increasing the water supply, but as far as the quality of water, I think something can be done so people can drink more water and have better water all around.
Thank you very much. Off it is now to Floral City, wherever that may be. Floral, you're on the air at 970 WFLA.
Oh, Floral City is just north of Brooksville.
Okay.
How's it going, Bob?
Reasonably.
All right, first-time caller.
Great.
Yeah, I'd like to talk to you about how big business is ignoring the environment by continually dumping chemicals into the water supply. and dumping toxic waste into the air.
Well, the big business isn't any different than you or I. Why only zero in on them?
Why? Because they dump the biggest quantities of it.
Well, big deal. Come on. Why pick on them when you and I do the same damn thing?
Oh, how do you and I dump chemicals into the water supply?
Well, maybe it's not chemicals into the water supply, or maybe it is. You know, did you ever dump anything out in your backyard?
Not really.
Well, most people do. Most people dump all kinds of crap out in the backyard or the front yard or down the toilet or out in the gutter out front.
That's true.
Most people deliberately and knowingly do things that they know are bad for the atmosphere or for the environment.
That's true, but isn't it easier to regulate a big corporation is to a few people that do it in the
why should a
backyard?
big corporation have any different social responsibility than the average guy? I mean, what we're doing when we pick on big business or whatever is somehow pulling off the responsibility from our own shoulders onto someone else, saying, well, let them clean up their act because they're bigger than I am. They're worse than I am. We can't expect big business to be socially responsible unless we ourselves are socially responsible.
That's true, but wouldn't it be better to set the standards with the big business and then come back to us?
No, it'd be a hell of a lot easier to set the standards here and then point to big business and say, hey, look, we're doing it.
Well, wasn't it true, I'd say roughly about 10 years ago, the businesses were deregulated from all the stringent Clean Air Act?
No, it is not true.
It's not?
No, sir, no. They have not been deregulated. There have been some easing of some of the clean air and clean water regulations, but to say deregulated is not even close to true.
Well, why have we gone to the easing of the Clean Air Act? Because isn't it just ruining it for the future?
Well, sir, let's not waste our time asking each other silly questions that we know the answers to, but concentrate on perhaps what I said a little bit earlier in the conversation, is that if you want big business to clean up its act, then you better get little people to clean up their acts first.
Well, would schooling and then information out help that any?
Now, again, you're asking me silly questions, sir, that you know the answer to. Don Richards standing by at the WFLA News Desk. Donald?
Yes, sir. Mr. Lassiter.
Yes, sir.
First-time caller.
Thank you.
The discussion about water, are we still allowed to talk about water?
Well, sir, you can talk about water. It's not really what I brought up per se, but go ahead.
Well, I'm sorry. I just tuned in a little bit ago, and I was listening about water.
Well, go ahead, sir.
Okay. I come from Wisconsin, and there's a lack of water, clean water, down here. And if I can say just real quickly, briefly, we used to have the same problem in Wisconsin.
I know, sir. You got a lot of lakes up there, so I guess all we have to do here is get a lot of Wisconsin lakes.
No, we can't do that. But Milwaukee is right on the edge of Lake Michigan. And every summer when I was a kid, we used to have a watering ban. You couldn't water your lawns, couldn't wash your car, etc. And nobody could figure out why, because we had all of this water being pumped in, and then eventually the waterworks utility decided...
Could we spin this up a little bit and get right down to a bottom line?
Sure, okay. We were paying about $1.65 a month for all the water we wanted. And then eventually they said, we need to pay for what it costs to deliver this water, and they raised that to $15 or $16 a month. And we had no more water problems. And isn't that amazing?
Yes,
and
sir.
I don't think we're doing...
Story. Perhaps the most amazing story I have ever heard on this radio program. Now, there is something that I would like to bring to your attention, those of you who have been along for the entire 3 hours this afternoon, and that is that to the best of my knowledge, not one of those half dozen and a half, whatever it may be, people who in the last month or so have said things like, gee, you ought to do more serious shows, none of this light stuff, none of this wrestling. Not one of those voices was heard this afternoon. Not one of them. Not one. But that's okay. No problem. All those people that say, well, geez, Lassiter, maybe you ought to do more homework. You know what I mean, more homework, Lassiter. Not one of those voices was heard this afternoon. Not one of them. I don't know what the hell you people want. I really don't. But we'll try to figure it out again tomorrow. We will do our damnedest to figure it out again tomorrow. By the way, tomorrow, really, I'm looking forward to it, because tomorrow we shall give you irrefutable proof that it is not sinful to engage in sex outside of marriage. We shall use the Bible as our source. And all of you theologians out there who tremble in fear whenever we do a show like this, you have fair warning now, 24 hours notice. You know what we're going to do, where we're coming from. Tomorrow's topic, especially, we want all of the young people in the Tampa Bay area especially to listen, so that they will be able to turn to their elders when they're told, "That stuff's sinful, don't do that," and say, "Well, no, it isn't, because..." That's tomorrow. Don't miss it.